My name is Domenic Covarelli. I was diagnosed with stage 3 colorectal cancer on December 11th of 2007. I had a 3 centimeter tumor that was in my rectum right near the muscles of my anus. I was not feeling well. I had no symptoms per se. I didn't have blood in my stool. I was experiencing a little bit of irregularity as far as my bowel movements. I had just gone to work for a new company, and my wife and I were at a weekend event for Christmas. So we spent the night for a Christmas party out of town at a hotel about 70 miles away from our home. And we had a very good time. I remember being a little constipated that day because I was in a seminar all day long and feeling like I had to go to the bathroom and I couldn't. I woke up the next morning, roughly 8 o'clock in the morning, after having a nice evening Christmas party, and felt the urge to have a bowel movement, and went to the bathroom, sat down, and I thought I had diarrhea until I looked and I realized that there was blood everywhere. And I was panic stricken, actually in shock. I cleaned up, didn't tell my wife, was actually climbed back into bed. And about 20 minutes later, I had the urge again. And that's when I called my wife and said, I've got something seriously wrong with me. And we spent the next 10 minutes or so just trying to collect our things as fast as we could so we could check out of the hotel and go to the emergency room, the nearest emergency room. In the time that it took us to get out of there, it happened to be 2 more times. And we had just changed medical coverage, so we were actually going to a hospital we've never experienced before, and plus we were out of town, so we went directly to the nearest emergency room. And the next 3 days were a blur. That was Sunday morning, December 12th, and then I was actually diagnosed that Tuesday after a battery of tests, a colonoscopy and a CT scan. And that Tuesday afternoon was, I feel, the afternoon that changed my life. This doctor came in, introduced himself. He was apparently the chief of staff, and he had a very poor bedside manner. And I feel it's important to tell this story to people because you might be faced with a situation, and you have to realize that unless it is a life or death situation, you don't have to make a decision on a moment's notice because somebody's telling you the way it is from their perspective. I had a man who said he was chief of staff of this hospital in a very prominent area of the Bay Area, and he told me I had no choice. He told me that I was going to have a colostomy for the rest of my life. He told me my life was never going to be the same again. He told me that I would never snorkel or sit in a hot tub. My life would be different from that moment on. That was Tuesday afternoon, and he wanted me to stay in the hospital and operate on me on Thursday. And he looked at me right in the eye and told me I had no choice. My wife and I chose to walk out of the hospital and seek a second or third opinion. We called my mom's surgeon at UCSF and asked him if we were going to stay within the Kaiser system, where should we go? And he recommended that we go directly to the Kaiser Hospital that is right next to UCSF. And so he referred us to this doctor, and we met this doctor, and the diagnosis he gave us was more favorable, but it still wasn't cut and clear. It still wasn't what we wanted to hear. But my mom's surgeon at UCSF knew that eventually we would get referred to him for certain tests, and then he could become involved. And I was fortunate enough to be exposed to 2 of the best doctors, I'm sure in the state of California, maybe even in the United States. and actually ended up having both of them operate on me. And yeah, I had a temporary ileostomy for 8 months, but not that a colostomy is the end of the world, but because we were diligent and we took control of the situation and picked our team, I'm sitting here today, even though I've had my rectum removed and I've gone through, you know, 1.5 or 2 years of high impact events. I'm living a very normal life. And in fact, my results are way better than I ever expected. Bowel habits are, you know, it's not like a normal individual, but, you know, I'm not making 10 or 20 trips to the bathroom a day, like I was told might happen. I don't have incontinence issues or anything like that. So I think one of the messages that is most important for me to get out there is it is very important for people just to sit back and take a breath and find good advice. And just because people have a plaque on the wall, they tell you they're qualified or they're chief of something or whatever, and that you only have one decision, it's not necessarily the right answer. I've always been a very high type A personality, and cancer slowed me down, and nothing's that important anymore. When it comes to simple things in life, you know, I've always been a family man, but cancer has made me want to rekindle old relationships that seem to fall to the wayside because life gets in the way. I appreciate those special moments more. I feel like I'm just more full of life and love than I ever have been in my life. Things that I probably carried in my life as scars, you know, bad events in the past, and things like that. I have found a way to let them go more, and you know, things that affected my personality and kept walls up around me. Those are gone now. It's improved my relationship with my wife and my family, and you know, my mother and my brother, and it's made me want to be someone who can make a difference in this world and help other people. It's made me less selfish. I just appreciate every day immensely. I tell my wife and kids that I love them every day, and I take the time almost every day to send a friend or a family member an email. Because of the Colon Club and being a Colondar model, I joined Facebook, and in a few short months I have 138 friends. Most of those friends are either old friends that I've lost contact with, or new people that have just come into my life because of cancer and the Colon Club and the new life that I'm living, which is really feels rewarding. I've always been a very self-sufficient individual, kind of a tough guy, never went to the doctor, always thought I was healthy, always thought that I could cheat the odds, so to speak.